Emergency in the courtroom yes again. Blake Lively was set to finally face questioning under oath in the explosive defamation case. That's rocked Hollywood, but in a shocking twist. She delayed her deposition yet again, and this time, the excuse a vague personal legal emergency filed just hours before the scheduled testimony. This last-minute move has triggered a massive wave of frustration from the judge, from the legal community, from fans, and even from insiders within her own team. Critics say the pattern is now impossible to ignore. It's not just one delay, it's delay after delay, all while the evidence builds and the questions mount. Why won't Blake testify? What is she trying to avoid? And how long can her legal team keep kicking the can down the road before the court finally says enough? In today's deep dive, we're unpacking every angle of this courtroom chaos, starting with exactly what happened behind closed doors that caused the deposition to be canceled at the last second. Then we'll walk through the full timeline of her past delays, the strategic legal implications, and why some experts are now calling her actions a calculated stall tactic. Plus, you'll hear what top lawyers are saying, how Justin Baldoni's team is responding, and why Hollywood's watching this meltdown in real time. This is no longer just about the case, it's about credibility, accountability, and the power of reputation. So buckle up, because this emergency filing may have just changed everything. Something just exploded in the courtroom again, and yes, it's Blake Lively in the hot seat once more. In a shocking twist that has left legal experts stunned and fans frustrated, Blake Lively's much-anticipated deposition has been delayed again, and this time, it's being labeled an emergency situation. How many more times can a deposition be postponed before the court takes action? How many more legal maneuvers can her team pull before patience runs dry? This isn't just about a celebrity hiding behind legal walls, it's about what appears to be a pattern of evasion strategy and yes, delay tactics that are now backfiring publicly. But today we're going deep. We're going inside the court filings, the judge's response, and the sudden emergency that pushed this case into another spiral of delay. We'll examine how legal professionals are reacting, including one viral lawyer who said bluntly, "This tactic won't work forever." We'll look at the timeline of delays, who might be hurt most by this move, and the growing media frustration surrounding Blake's behavior in court. Hollywood's watching, fans are watching, and now, lawyers are talking. Let's dive into the full story of what really happened behind this emergency delay, what it means for Blake's future in the case, and why the public is calling this the final straw. The courtroom was prepared, legal teams were ready, media outlets were already crafting their headlines. But just hours before Blake Lively was due to finally sit for her deposition, in the ongoing civil case involving explosive defamation claims and leaked messages, everything came to a halt. Why a last-minute filing was submitted by Blake Lively's legal team. In the document, they claimed an unavoidable emergency required the deposition to be postponed immediately. The vague nature of the filing didn't go unnoticed. According to sources close to the situation, the filing referenced a matter of personal and legal conflict that made it impossible for Lively to appear. But what kind of emergency rises to the level of canceling a court-mandated deposition? Just hours before it was scheduled, the opposing legal team representing Justin Baldoni wasn't buying it. They immediately filed a rebuttal requesting the court to enforce the deposition, claiming that this was just the latest in a long line of delay tactics meant to frustrate the process and avoid accountability. The presiding judge, who has already warned Lively's legal team in previous hearings about abuse of procedural delay, was said to be visibly frustrated during the emergency session. While the court did grant a temporary hold due to the filing, it was not without consequences. The judge reportedly issued a verbal warning during the emergency hearing that this could be the last tolerated delay without strong documented justification. Legal experts have chimed in quickly. One former federal prosecutor, who now comments regularly on celebrity legal affairs, stated, "You can't keep doing this. Judges lose patience very quickly when depositions are missed or delayed multiple times without solid medical or legal necessity." This latest move looks strategic, and that could come back to haunt Blake's team. What was the emergency? Here's where things get murky and speculative. The actual nature of the emergency was redacted in the filing, a move allowed under procedural protections for certain kinds of personal or health-related issues. However, sources close to the case suggest that the issue may be professional conflict with an existing contractual obligation, possibly a film shoot, campaign obligation, or promotional appearance Blake couldn't cancel. If true, this could become a PR nightmare. Choosing a professional event over a court-ordered deposition can give the appearance of avoiding the legal system, not a good look for any public figure, especially one already facing backlash. Over-leaked messages subpoena drama and mounting legal scrutiny. Justin Baldoni's team reacts swiftly in a public filing made just hours after the emergency delay was submitted. Justin Baldoni's attorneys slammed the move as irresponsible and prejudicial, noting that every delay impairs our ability to present the case in a timely manner. The court should compel the deposition and order sanctions if this continues. It's clear Baldoni's legal team is done playing along with what they view as gamesmanship. The question now is whether the judge agrees and whether this delay opens Blake up to serious legal penalties or court sanctions. The current emergency delay in Blake Lively's deposition isn't happening in isolation. It's just the latest entry in a growing list of postponements and legal maneuverings that are now raising serious eyebrows from many observers. This isn't just about courtroom procedure anymore. It's about a repeating pattern of avoidance that's beginning to resemble a deliberate strategy. Let's break down the full timeline of what's happened and how we got here. The timeline of delays from cooperation to evasion. Early May 2024, the first deposition notice. The case began heating up in the spring of 2024 when Justin Baldoni's legal team officially served Blake Lively with a deposition notice. This came after months of mounting tension and public scrutiny around Lively's alleged involvement in a coordinated media campaign against Baldoni. At the time, Blake's team issued a statement to the court saying she was fully prepared to cooperate within reason and in accordance with legal precedent. The tone was one of cautious willingness, but behind the scenes her lawyers began quietly maneuvering. They first asked for an extended scheduling window, citing significant professional obligations. This was granted without incident, a standard courtesy for high-profile individuals who often juggle intense public schedules. June 2024, the first official delay. The first official delay was filed on June 7th, just 2 days before her original deposition date. Her lawyers cited travel obligations, illness, and security logistics, and submitted a request to push the date back by 3 weeks. The court accepted the explanation, though noted in its ruling that such requests should not be habitual. Justin Baldoni's team didn't challenge the delay yet. At that point, they were still assuming Lively would appear once reasonable accommodations were made. Late June 2024, security concerns raised. Blake's team submitted a follow-up letter claiming increased media attention had led to significant personal safety concerns, requesting either a remote deposition or added security for any in-person appearance. This time, the court was more skeptical. The judge ruled that while safety is a legitimate concern, it must not be used to delay or avoid a court-mandated deposition. Blake was given an extra 10 days, no more, no less. July 3, 2024, no-show sparks alarm. The rescheduled date came and went. Blake did not appear. Her team submitted a last-minute letter claiming logistical conflicts with an international engagement. No emergency was cited. No detailed documentation was offered. The court issued a notice of failure to appear, officially placing the delay on the record. This no-show would become a turning point. Mid-July 2024, protective order requested. In a surprising twist, Blake Lively's legal team submitted a formal protective order request attempting to place limits on the deposition. The filing sought to restrict the kinds of questions that could be asked, specifically regarding leaked messages, private correspondence with co-defendants, and her communications with media outlets during the height of the scandal. The court scheduled a hearing but made no promises. Justin Baldoni's team pushed back hard, calling the protective order a stalling tactic designed to further delay discovery. July 10, 2024, judge refuses blanket protections. The judge ruled that while certain questions could be reviewed in session for appropriateness, there would be no blanket ban on questioning. Blake would need to appear and assert any objections in real time, not in advance. July 120, 2024, emergency filing hits the court. This brings us to the current moment. Blake's team filed the emergency motion late at night, just hours before her new scheduled deposition. The filing was sparse, citing only an unexpected personal and legal emergency. No additional filings were offered, no medical records, no sworn affidavits, no indication of when she'd be available next. This was the final straw for many in the legal and media worlds. Legal analysts are now seeing a pattern emerge, one that suggests strategy more than genuine obstacles. In multiple public interviews, high-profile attorneys have pointed to Blake Lively's moves as part of a larger delay and deflect approach often used in high-profile civil cases. Here's what's being noticed. 1. No consistent reasoning. Each delay cites a different issue: health, travel, security, logistics, and now a vague emergency. Legal experts say this inconsistency weakens credibility over time. 2. No transparency. Blake's team has not provided any documentation to back up the recent delays. Courts are traditionally patient until they sense gamesmanship. Public relations versus legal responsibility, while Lively's team remains active in media spin and brand protection. Their courtroom obligations have taken a clear backseat. Control over timing, each delay seems carefully timed to avoid key moments in the case, particularly as other depositions and documents surface. Several high-profile lawyers have spoken out in recent interviews. Civil litigator Rachel Miranda, known for celebrity litigation, stated bluntly, "Delays are fine. Emergencies happen, but when every major deadline becomes a problem and the opposing party has no such issues, the court begins to suspect something more tactical is happening. It's not a good look." Media lawyer Daniel Chu noted, "The more Blake delays, the more discovery gets bottlenecked. If her deposition is key to other testimonies or document releases, that creates an intentional choke point. That's dangerous legally, especially if the judge sees through it." And on YouTube, viral legal analyst The Tilted Lawyer posted a now-rending reaction video titled, "She's playing a risky game, this could blow up." Fans and commentators alike are growing tired of the delays. Once perceived as a poised, controlled Hollywood figure, Blake Lively is now under increasing scrutiny. On social media, hashtags like #WhereIsBlake, #DelayQueen, and #JusticeNotPro are beginning to trend. Online people are asking, why can she attend high-profile events and shoots but not show up for a court deposition? If she's innocent, why avoid the questions? Is this about hiding something, or just a bad legal strategy? Public perception is starting to shift, and the delays are no longer being seen as unfortunate events, but as part of a larger story of evasion. If the court decides that these delays are intentional or abusive of the discovery process, Blake Lively could face sanctions, fines, limitations on testimony, or restrictions on introducing evidence. Compelled testimony. A judge can set a hard deadline, and if missed, she could be deposed under court order. Public blowback, further damage to her already bruising reputation in media and fan spaces, and perhaps most notably, if Blake is seen as not cooperating in good faith, it could hurt her case even if she's technically within legal rights. In civil litigation, cooperation is often everything. As Blake Lively's emergency deposition delay made headlines, the legal community wasted no time weighing in. From courtroom analysts to celebrity legal commentators, the consensus is becoming increasingly sharp. This could seriously backfire. While Blake's legal team may have hoped to quietly delay the process, the reality is that this move has sparked a new wave of criticism, and not just from the media but from legal professionals who see the pattern for what it is: strategic evasion masked as emergency. Legal commentators have long observed how high-profile celebrities often have the luxury of maneuvering within the legal system in ways the average person can't. But that luxury has its limits, especially when opposing counsel and the presiding judge begin to raise concerns. Attorney Lisette Rodriguez, a Los Angeles-based civil litigation specialist who has worked on multiple defamation and celebrity cases, stated in a recent panel, "Once or twice the court will tolerate delays if there's documentation. But 4 or 5 times, that's where it begins to feel like a weaponized strategy. And that gets very dangerous." Rodriguez explained that the longer Blake continues to postpone her deposition, the more likely the judge is to issue an order to compel or even apply sanctions. Judges know when they're being played, and they hate it. In another viral video, The Tilted Lawyer, a popular YouTube attorney known for blunt, no-nonsense breakdowns of celebrity court battles, took aim at Blake's latest maneuver. The title of the video, "Blake Luck is Running Out, Judges Aren't Blind." In the 18-minute breakdown, he walked through all the past delays, dissecting each reason Blake's team had given and showing how inconsistent and increasingly implausible the excuses were becoming. One standout quote, "You want to know why this delay matters? Because a deposition isn't a favor. It's a legal obligation, it's discovery, it's accountability. And every time she skips out, she not only insults the court, she tells the world she doesn't take this seriously, and that's going to catch up to her." The video has already crossed 2 million views, and it's been reposted by multiple legal TikTok accounts, fan pages, and pop culture news outlets. The message is clear: Blake's legal moves are becoming the story themselves. At this point, the judge in the case holds the power to change everything. If Blake fails to appear again, or if her team continues to request vague, unsupported delays, the court has several powerful tools at its disposal: compel the deposition by a specific date, without further extensions, order sanctions, financial penalties for causing unreasonable delay, exclude her future testimony if she doesn't comply, strike certain filings if her non-cooperation is deemed prejudicial. All of these would significantly weaken her legal defense. And let's not forget, this is a civil case, where outcomes are based on the preponderance of the evidence, meaning the credibility and cooperation of the parties are often just as important as the evidence itself. The perception that Blake is not cooperating could seriously sway the case. Legal experts have also pointed to previous remarks made by the judge, which may become relevant again soon. During the July 3rd hearing, the one held after Blake failed to appear for her rescheduled deposition, the judge stated on record if this court detects any further attempts to delay discovery through procedural evasion or non-appearance, it will consider stronger enforcement actions. At the time, Blake's lawyers promised cooperation. That promise, critics now argue, has not been kept. Legal commentator Shanique Miles, a professor of media law, noted, "The court isn't just watching the evidence, they're watching behavior. Repeated non-compliance damages credibility, and the judge has made it clear that the next move will be decisive." This isn't the first time a high-profile figure has tried to delay or avoid a deposition, and it's also not the first time the courts have responded harshly. Example 1: Lindsay Lohan, 2010, in a defamation case filed by a paparazzo. Lohan skipped her deposition 3 times. The judge eventually ordered her to appear or face default judgment. She complied, but not before losing significant leverage in the case. Example to Johnny Depp, 2020, during his libel case in the UK, Depp was briefly sanctioned for failure to produce timely evidence and for scheduling conflicts. The judge stated that celebrity status does not excuse procedural delay. Example 3: Cardi B, 2019, in a civil suit involving a fan, Cardi B was fined $5,000 by the court after failing to appear for a deposition. The judge ordered her to appear within 10 days, and she did after public pressure mounted. These examples show a consistent judicial trend: celebrities can and will be sanctioned when they treat depositions like optional appointments. Blake may be next in line. Some legal experts believe the emergency filing was less about scheduling and more about timing. The rumor inside some legal circles is that Blake Lively's legal team fears a deposition now could backfire, especially as more text messages, call logs, and media emails are being introduced into evidence. Legal strategist Michael Chung, who specializes in crisis litigation, explained, "If opposing counsel already has receipts, messages, emails, or recorded statements, they can use a deposition to trap a witness, get them on the record saying something that contradicts the documents. That's powerful in civil court." By delaying the deposition, Blake's team may be trying to buy time to prepare or find a legal path to restrict what she can be asked. Either way, it signals potential vulnerability. Perhaps the most dangerous aspect of the delay isn't legal, it's optical. Public frustration is mounting. On Twitter, ex-fan reactions range from humorous to outraged. Is she hiding in a secret tunnel at this point? Blake Lively skipping depositions like it's a brunch she forgot. Accountability is not optional, no matter how rich or famous. Multiple YouTube legal breakdowns now feature headlines like "Blake Lively is in trouble. Judge may step in, delay tactics backfire. What Blake's legal team miscalculated. Is she scared to testify? Legal experts say yes for a celebrity known for charm and poise. This shifting narrative from fashion icon to legal avoider may have lasting effects. While Blake's public persona remains tightly controlled, whispers from inside her camp tell a different story. 2 individuals, one formerly associated with her PR firm and another who previously worked with her legal team, have told media outlets anonymously that there's disagreement within her legal team about how to handle the deposition. Her advisors are concerned the delay makes her look guilty or evasive. Blake herself is stressed and exhausted and may be struggling to manage both legal demands and her public commitments. One source said bluntly, "This isn't going the way she thought it would. Every delay makes her look worse, and now she's boxed herself in." As we step back and look at the entire timeline of Blake Lively's deposition delays, the emerging pattern is impossible to ignore and even harder to defend. What began as a high-stakes defamation case between 2 public figures has morphed into a broader debate about accountability, privilege, and the perception of justice in celebrity America. This most recent emergency delay didn't occur in a vacuum. It's the culmination of months of maneuvering, last-minute filings, procedural gymnastics, and conflicting signals from Blake's legal team. With every postponement, public sympathy is slipping, and with every excuse offered without documentation, the court's tolerance is wearing thinner and thinner. So where does this leave Blake Lively? Let's unpack what we know and what's likely to come next. The judge's patience is wearing thin. The most immediate concern for Blake Lively is judicial tolerance. Courts generally provide ample room for parties to resolve scheduling issues or respond to unexpected emergencies. But that grace is not unlimited. Judges are not just neutral referees, they're guardians of the court's integrity. When they feel that their authority is being tested, they act. The presiding judge in this case has already issued multiple warnings to Blake's team. He's gone on record acknowledging his concern about the frequency and timing of her delays. The most recent emergency filing may very well trigger formal sanctions or a motion to compel her to appear. If Blake fails to show up for her next scheduled deposition, the judge could issue monetary sanctions, restrict her legal team from presenting certain evidence, prohibit Blake from testifying later at trial, strike portions of her defense. None of those options are good. All of them represent a major blow to her legal credibility. Discovery pressure is mounting. Let's not forget what this deposition actually means. A deposition is not just a formality. It's a key moment in discovery, the phase of the case where both sides gather evidence, question each other's witnesses under oath, and lay the groundwork for trial. What Blake says or doesn't say in that room could make or break her case. And yet, she hasn't even stepped into the room. Her refusal to participate, especially when Justin Baldoni and other parties have already cooperated, is now being seen as a major red flag. What is she avoiding? What does she not want to be asked? And why does her legal team seem desperate to control the timing and format of her testimony? There are serious concerns that this is an effort to buy time, delay damage, and potentially limit the exposure of damning evidence such as leaked text emails to journalists or internal communications that tie her to the media campaign that ignited this lawsuit in the first place. Legal strategy or legal gamble? While it's possible Blake's team has a strategy, perhaps aiming to settle before she testifies, that plan is beginning to look more like a gamble. Every delay paints a picture of avoidance, every vague filing chips away at her public image, and every time she misses a legal obligation, her opponents gain more ammunition to portray her as uncooperative and evasive. And here's the worst part: even if Blake eventually sits for a deposition, it may be too late to undo the damage to her credibility in the eyes of the judge and the public. In civil litigation, especially high-profile cases like this, perception is just as powerful as paperwork. The court of public opinion is already forming its verdict, and it isn't looking good for her. Public reaction is shifting fast. One of the biggest unintended consequences of these delays has been the tidal wave of negative public reaction. Online, the narrative has shifted from curiosity to frustration and from sympathy to suspicion. People aren't buying the excuses anymore. They're questioning how someone so publicly present attending fashion shows, movie premieres, and social events somehow can't make time to sit down for a private deposition. This is feeding into a broader narrative that celebrities play by a different set of rules, that accountability is optional, and that justice moves slower when fame is involved. That's dangerous, not just for Blake's case but for her brand. For years, Blake Lively has cultivated an image of elegance, intelligence, and integrity. But in a matter of months, that image is now at risk of being replaced with something entirely different: the celebrity who won't face the music. The legal experts are united. This is not sustainable. From civil litigators to legal YouTubers to law professors, one message has been repeated over and over: she can't delay forever. Eventually, the court will act. And if Blake doesn't regain control of the narrative and comply with her legal obligations, she will lose more than just the case. She could lose public trust, professional opportunities, and the respect of peers who are watching this unfold from the sidelines. The legal process does not bend endlessly, even for stars. What comes next? Here's what's likely to happen in the next few weeks. 1. A new deposition deadline will be set. The judge will likely order Blake to appear on a fixed date, with no further extensions allowed without extensive documentation. 2. Sanctions will be considered if she misses it. If she fails again, the court could fine her or limit her ability to defend herself later at trial. 3. Discovery could accelerate without her input. Justin Baldoni's legal team may push ahead, regardless, presenting evidence and arguments that assume Blake's lack of cooperation. 4. Public backlash will escalate if Blake continues to appear publicly but avoids court obligations. The contrast will fuel even more outrage. 5. Settlement pressure will rise. Blake's team may attempt to settle the case quietly before the deposition occurs, though that may now come at a much higher cost. Final thoughts: Blake's moment of truth. This entire saga has now become about more than just legal filings. It's become a referendum on character, accountability, and power. Blake Lively is not just a defendant, she's a cultural icon, someone millions have looked up to. But as this case continues, that pedestal feels more and more precarious. She is at this moment in complete control of how the next chapter unfolds. She can choose to face the questions and demonstrate that she has nothing to hide, or she can continue down a road of delay, deflection, and erosion, not just of her case, but of everything she's built in the public eye, because in the end, the truth always comes out. The only question is how long you try to outrun it.